how the Mafia secretly ran America and then blew it all up. They were untouchable. They controlled judges, cops, unions, even Hollywood. They ran the ports, the trucks, the drugs, and the murders. This was Cosa Nostra, our thing, the American family. 5 families ruled New York like kings and no one said a word. Because if you did, they'd find your body in the trunk of a car or floating in the Hudson. But in the end, it wasn't the FBI that took them down. It was greed, betrayal, and one man with too much spotlight. John Gotti. It all started in the early 1900s. Sicilian immigrants fled poverty and fascism, arriving in cities like New York, Chicago, and New Orleans. They brought their own version of justice, the Black Hand, extortion, violence, loyalty. By the 1920s, America handed them the ultimate gift, prohibition. The Mafia saw alcohol become more valuable than gold, and they owned it. Bootlegging made names like Al Capone in Chicago legendary. In New York, a brutal war between Italian gangs turned the streets into battlegrounds. That's when Lucky Luciano stepped in. Luciano was different. He was modern. In 1931, he organized the Mafia into a corporation. He called it the Commission, a national board of directors made up of the top bosses. No more petty wars. Now they divide cities, rackets, and profits. In New York, it belonged to the 5 families. The Genovese family, the Ivy League of crime, smart, secretive, cold-blooded, once run by Vito Genovese, and later Vincent the Chin Gigante, who faked insanity to dodge prison. The Gambino family, the most powerful. At their peak under Carlo Gambino, they controlled ports, trucking, construction, billions. Later, John Gotti took the spotlight here. The Lucchese family, masters of heists and labor racketeering. Paul Varillo and Tony Ducks Corallo were major players here. Think Goodfellas. The Colombo family, originally run by Joe Profaci. Infighting nearly destroyed them in the 70s and the 90s. They were the most chaotic. The Banano family, one of the oldest, run by Joseph Banano, but they got kicked off the commission in the 60s for trying to stage a takeover. Bad move. Each family had a structure like the military. Boss at the top, underboss second in command, consigliere, the advisor, capos who ran crews, soldiers who did the dirty work, and beneath them, associates, guys who weren't made men, but did favors, ran businesses, or moved product. To be made, you had to be 100% Italian and commit a murder. Once you were in, blood oath, no leaving, ever. They ran everything. Gambling, loan sharking, hijacking, labor unions, drugs, though denied publicly, construction, trash hauling, and skimmed Las Vegas casinos for years. The Mafia thrived in silence. They used fronts, pizza shops, trucking companies, vending machines. They bribed politicians, fixed trials, and infiltrated entire industries. Jimmy Hoffa, the Teamsters union boss, was deeply connected to the mob. They used the union pension fund to build Las Vegas casinos. Literally, the mob built the Strip. In 1957, the secret was almost exposed at the Appalachian meeting in upstate New York. Dozens of top mobsters gathered, but cops raided the meeting. For the first time, the government couldn't deny the Mafia existed. The FBI dragged its feet until the late 1970s. That's when they discovered the RICO Act, a law that let prosecutors charge everyone in a criminal organization for the crimes of anyone. This was the beginning of the end. But one man was about to break all the rules and become a celebrity criminal. John Gotti was born to be seen. Flamboyant suits, slicked back hair, and a smile that said, "You can't touch me." In 1985, Gotti orchestrated the murder of Gambino boss Paul Castellano outside Sparks Steakhouse in Manhattan. It was a mafia no-no, killing a boss without commission approval. But Gotti didn't care. He took over the Gambino family and became the Dapper Don. The media loved him. He walked out of trials grinning. Jurors got bribed. Witnesses vanished. He was called the Teflon Don. Nothing stuck. But behind the scenes, cracks were forming. Old school bosses hated the spotlight. And the FBI was watching. They bugged Gotti's hideout, the Ravenite Social Club, and they flipped his underboss Sammy the Bull Gravano. Sammy confessed to 19 murders and sent Gotti to prison for life in 1992. The Don was no longer untouchable. He died in 2002 of cancer in a prison hospital. After Gotti, the Mafia never recovered. RICO cases decimated the families. Hundreds of made men flipped. Entire crews vanished. The five families still exist, but shadows of their former selves. Today, the Mafia operates quietly, focusing on cybercrime, fraud, and international rackets. But their golden age, when they ran New York from the shadows, is over. They say the mob was built on omerta, silence. But in the end, talking is what brought it all down.